My name is Iman Wigahayoga with NIM 109. I will explain the background of this topic. Obesity is a medical condition that have multiple major negative impact on human health. Obesity also affect a lot of physiological function of the body and compromise a significant public health threat. It will increase the risk of having multiple disease conditions such as musculoskeletal disorder, cardiovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, and poor mental health. This disease can affect anyone, including teenager. One of the reason teenagers have a risk of obesity is because they are in middle of puberty. Obesity is a big problem in teenagers because it often associated with risk of increased emotional problems such as lower self-esteem and less popular among their friends. This may also cause anxiety and depression for them. Obesity also may be the factor of many diseases, so it's extremely concerning if someone got obesity since young age. Next is the research question, the purpose, and this is the benefit of this paper.
Hello, my name is Mele and my LCD number is 093, and now I will discuss about the definition and diagnosis of obesity. Obesity is a condition with excessive fat accumulation that can result. Obesity can be measured based on body mass index or waist circumference. Body mass index or BMI is an index that helps estimate body fat by using weight and height. Body mass index calculated statistically by weight divided in 8 meters square. Someone considered obese when BMI is more than 30 kg per meter square by the general population and BMI more than 25 kg per meter square for Asian population. Meanwhile, waist circumference is used to define if someone has central obesity or not. Central obesity is an obesity in which the accumulation of fat is dominant in the trunk or abdomen compared with the lower extremities or hips. Waist circumference that is more than 94 cm for men and more than 80 cm for women for European population can be considered as central obesity. Meanwhile, for Asian population, the waist circumference for men that more than 90 cm and for women that more than 80 cm can considered as a central obesity. Thank you.
My name is David, number 74. I will tell about physical examination for obesity teenager. So BMI is one of physical examination for teenager that we can calculate body weight to height to know the level of obesity in teenager. The classify of BMI, or we can say it as body mass index, can we determine with CDC 2000, IOTF, and WHO 2006 standard. Then we can see appearance of the teenager. We can see physical appearance examination to know symptom of obesity in teenager. Then there are some specific measurements for obesity teenager like anthropometry, vital sign, and specific organ and part examination. Also, reproductive development can measure obesity in teenager specifically. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good morning, doctor and friends. My name is Sharon Kalista with student number 051. Today, I would like to continue the presentation, which will be the risk factors of obesity in teenager. So, obesity is one of the health problems that is quite worrying, especially for groups of children to adolescents. This is worrying because obesity has been associated with an increasing number of premature deaths and a high incidence of degenerative diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, and several types of cancer. So the risk factors are including number 1, socioeconomic and demographic. The highest prevalence of central obesity is higher in women compared to men because there is a difference in the level of physical activity and energy intake between men and women. Women naturally have more body fat reserves, especially in their stomach, rather than men. And moreover, women tend to be more at risk of experiencing central obesity, especially after menopause. On the other hand, research shown that there is a significant relationship between obesity with family socioeconomic status and parental income. High-income families are 4 times greater risk of experiencing obesity compared to children from families with low income. This is because with higher socioeconomic status, they have more ability to spend more money to buy a variety of food, and this make them have more greater access to calorie-dense fast food. They also tend to have luxurious lifestyle and has various facilities and traveling by personal car, which make them lack of physical activity. And the second risk factor is eating pattern and habits. So consuming junk food, snacking habits, and eat snacks, consume food and high sugar level drinks are also associated with incidence of obesity. Fast food is not only high in calories but also contains sugar, saturated fat, and high salt. Sugary drinks are containing simple sugar with high glycemic index, which causes high effect of anabolic hormones as a result of increase in the secretion of insulin. That's all from me. The next 2 points will be presented by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Maria Pramesti Sabinia Fernanda with student number 102. Now I'm going to continue about the risk factor of obesity in teenagers. Another risk factor of obesity in teenagers is also physical activity and lifestyle. Lack of physical activity and sedentary behavior may lead to obesity in teenagers. Children and adolescents who use transportations to schools, such as school bus, private vehicle, and or any general transportation, is more likely to get obesity compared to children that walk to school. Another risk factor is also genetics, as children with one or both parents with obesity is more likely to experience obesity. Genetic factors alone have a role of 40% in the balance of metabolisms and energy.
Hello, my name is Krisna Parapita Karamaya with NIM 170. There are modifiable and non-modifiable family roles in the incidence of adolescent obesity. The non-modifiable role is genetics. Meanwhile, the modifiable roles include epigenetic changes influenced by family's behaviors, infant nutrition, poor family functioning, etc. Maternal nutrition during prenatal or early postnatal period may trigger epigenetic changes which increase the risk for obesity in their children. Adolescent stress due to constant family problems can also cause these epigenetic changes. Formula feeding and excessive consumption of macronutrient supplements during infancy also contribute to adolescent obesity. Families' unhealthy eating behaviors also plays a role, as children learn to eat by observing others. They also learn to eat through their direct experience with food. Due to economic or time limitations, many parents serve their children processed and cheaper energy-dense foods. This direct experiences of eating unhealthy foods influence the children to have unhealthy eating behaviors and cause adolescent obesity. Family culture of serving children large portions of foods and forcing them to finish the meal also contributes to this condition. However, parents who overly pressurize their children to eat healthy diets and excessively restrict their food choices actually may trigger the children to excessively consume the restricted foods outside parental control. This overconsumption may result in weight gain and obesity. Parents' choices of their children's schools and out of school activities also influence the eating habits of the children. For instance, if the schools have easy access to unhealthy foods, the children will have high risk of obesity. Parents' choices to live in areas with easy access to high calorie fast foods also increase the risk of adolescent obesity. Adolescent obesity's risk is also influenced by poor family functioning, such as poor communication and non-harmonious family relationship. This because the children will be less obedient, thus may consume unhealthy foods uncontrollably. They're also more likely to be depressed, which may lead to binge eating. The parents may also develop depression from the constant family problems. This parental depression is also correlated with adolescent obesity. Thank you.
Hello, doctor and friends. My name is Giovanka Francia Purnama with student number 148, and I will explain about family roles in the treatment of adolescents' obesity. Parents' behavior also play important role in adolescents' obesity treatment. Parents' counseling regarding the pharmacological and non-pharmacological treatments of the children need to be done thoroughly in order to ensure the continuity and success of the treatment. Parents need to remind their children about what do and don'ts, as well as when to take their medications. Lifestyle modifications for obese teens also need to involve the parents. Parents need to change their bad eating behaviors to support the treatment of their children. If the parents continue to give bad examples in eating behavior, the children's compliance and adherence to their pharmacological and non-pharmacological treatments will decline.
Hello, my name is Marco with name 057. I'll continue to present about the family roles in treatment of adolescent obesity. The parents may also need to be more physically active in order to give food, example, to the children and motivate their children. Parents also need to give full psychological support as the treatment of obesity may be exhausting and separating for the children. They also need to understand how to encourage their children to lose weight without judging them, as judging may ruin the children's mental health, which may result into depression and worsen the obesity. Parents need to work to eliminate the deep-root family problems if they want to give full support in the treatment of their children's obesity. Parents whose children became obese due to binge eating from depression also need to understand their children's condition well so that they can give full support and participate in their children's depression treatment. Parents who have depression need to treat their depression as parental depression has also been linked to teenager obesity. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Puturayu Natalia Anggreni with student number 217. So I will be explaining about the impact of family in obesity in teenager. So many parents with overweight teenagers feel their children is having problems such as their clothes being too small, the teenager having physical limitation in their activities, and their teenager being bullied by their friends at school. And this problem related to the weight itself. So the inaccurate parental perspective in viewing their children's weight can then influence the decision on how parents can determine the right treatment to treat obesity in their children. And therefore, obesity in adolescents can determine the cost that must be incurred by the family in treating obesity. So this also included the cost of dealing with the side effect later on in their children. So that's it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vito with student number 128. I will present to you about the treatment of obesity in teenagers. Treatment of obesity in teenagers consists of several methods, including lifestyle modification, pharmacological treatment, and surgery. The recommendation for physical activities include 8 to 10 hours sleep at night, at least 1 hour of moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity, and limiting screen time to 2 hours within 24-hour period. It is recommended to modify diet combined with aerobic physical activities, as it can reduce aminotransferase levels and reducing steatosis risk by 61%. Despite that, intense lifestyle modification yields unsatisfying results, as severely obese teenagers are more reluctant to respond to the treatment. As for the pharmacological treatment, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved two medications, Orlistat and phentermine. Those two medications are used for the treatment of obesity, with Orlistat for long-term use and phentermine for short-term use. Orlistat can reduce the absorption of one-third of the fatty acids through inhibition of gastrointestinal lipases. Phentermine can increase catecholamines and serotonin activity in the central nervous system. From those properties, it can reduce and suppress appetite. Orlistat can decrease BMI by at least 5%, and phentermine can reduce BMI by 4.1% at 6 months of usage. Lastly, surgery can also provide benefits for treatment of obesity efforts. Bariatric surgery is the process of removing certain part of the stomachs with methods such as Roux-en-Y, gastric bypass, and vertical sleeve gastrectomy. This method results in BMI reduction that is largely sustained for a long time. The BMI reduction is comparable with the other two methods, in which the data reports 29% BMI reduction with Roux-en-Y gastric bypass and 27% with vertical sleeve gastrectomy over a 3-year period. Risks of bariatric surgery include several micronutrient deficiencies and the need of additional abdominal procedures. That's all for me. The presentation will be continued by my friend. Thank you.
My name is Pierre, class register of the number 077. So, to prevent obesity in teenager, there are two main ways. First one is diet changes. So we can reduce sugar intake, reduce sugary food and sugary beverages intake, and also increase fruit and vegetable consumption. The second one is through physical activity. We need to reduce sitting time and more activity. And there are three ways a family can support a teenager to prevent obesity. The first one, the parents need to be a role model. They need to eat healthy and regularly exercise. The second one is to not stock unhealthy food and beverages at home. And the last one is maintaining a clean eating habit.